Hey everybody, how's it going? Here's the next video. It's going to be on NASA and space exploration more particularly. The great void of the vast vacuum we call space is certainly the next era of extreme innovation. NASA, as well as private-based companies, have more recently announced plans to send actual people to Mars. This could happen as soon as 2023, but scientists are relatively convinced that the planet is habitable once the living quarters and outside bearing suits. The designs of those suits are implemented with adequate shielding from the harshness of the radiation. The radiation is going to hit them more profoundly because it doesn't have an atmosphere to absorb all of that or mitigate it around it. There have been countless number of people who have put in applications to NASA to potentially go to the planet of Mars. 6,000 plus applicants to be a little bit more precise. So out of this haystack comes 8 needles that are designed to shimmer in the vastness of space. These sharp minds of the new 8 astronauts in training, they seem to be selected to even be the first to take a step on the currently barren reds of Mars after they first explore some asteroids for resources and other scientific capsules of wonder. Now something a little bit more closer to home here on Earth. There's a 7-year-old boy who's named Dexter, and he's an avid young aspiring astronaut who wrote to the space agency to express his interest in the program to travel to Mars. So NASA, being the go-getters that they are, they in turn sent a small care package littered with letters and other assortments of data, including full-size pictures and information of the different space programs, to the young lad who was ecstatic to receive just a gift. The response letter went on to explain that this explorer, he should study hard and he should stay dedicated to the task of pursuing. So, while we're on the awesome trek to space, it can certainly fill the imagination with some things that can be easily overlooked, such as getting supplies to these camps out in the deeps of space. So this is where emerging new technology, which is dubbed 3D printing, will steal the spotlight for a bit. 3D printing, it will allow the engineers and other astronauts to be able to print parts that they might need after completing the initial setups that would only result in having more free time. Also, these printers, they can print up replacement parts that are damaged, enabling them to repair stuff without waiting for the next care package from their Earth dwellers and heritage. Speaking of space exploration, there has been a proposal by some politicians to check the land and ground near the Apollo landing site with the historically placed U.S. flag to be preserved by the supposed letter of law, to hopefully be included with the museum at some point on the great chunk of rock that orbits our planet. That's right, the moon just might get a preserve to travel to. It's definitely a nice refresh to hear of the good-sided politicians actually talking about these space programs. But then we kind of fall into a dilemma of who owns this land on the moon. In my personal opinion, it should not be run by an earthbound country as it should be run by its own sovereign nation, per se. Anyways, this would help mitigate any oversight that any potential colony would certainly have to deal with from the earthbound people who would inevitably gush to thinking that they would know what is best for another's land. And finally, we shall discuss the radiation of space in more detail. Radiation, it's high energy that can get into cells and potentially damage the DNA within them. So this is why it is so dangerous in large amounts. This opens the tap ground for making nutrition a more important matter when in the depths of space. And what better way to get nutrition than from the fresh greens compared to the packaged stagnation of particles? So there have been many experiments of growing these delicate greens in the terrestrial environments, and they have been put through simulations of these environments here on Earth, and they've even gone to the small strides of growing tiny little sprouts while aboard the space station at one point. So, the future of space travel is looking more promising by the hour. Onward to the challenge, I say.